Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, good afternoon everybody, and hello to everyone in the studio and hello to my audience. So please, if you have any questions, please just call through and I'll do my best to answer anything that's thrown at me, so to speak. So, okay, I'm going to open right now to maybe people that are here in the studio. If you have anything that you'd like to ask me, here I am. Okay. I guess it's gone very quiet.
Sally.
Yes.
How do you identify your guide? How do I know who is my guide?
Thank you, Sandy, for that question, because that's kind of an interesting question. The only way that I can tell you is, again, I always go with your inner, what you feel. So if you're asking yourself something, I actually recommend ask it out loud, because that way your guide is hearing you. And then go with your first, what I would call intuition, because they do speak to you. But you've got to understand, or you've got to believe that they're speaking to you, so to speak. So if you ask, you may feel like you're talking to yourself, but you're not. So ask a question out loud and then listen with your first, what you're hearing. And it's usually, most of the time, it will be that you're being guided into the answer. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's no name?
Do you want me to give you a name? Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, I have done this, but just if you can put it in the word of a question, just ask me, because my guides let me know that
What is my guide's name?
Felipe.
Felipe.
Yes, I get that right away. I go, just to explain how I got that, I go with, and I won't remember because I don't remember a lot of what I'm saying here, but I go with my first, what I hear. And I've had so much validation from this that I have to, even me, I have to believe that this is what it is. And I've had the validation. So the name Felipe is coming very strong to me. I'm feeling it slightly, it's Spanish. He's with you, but you don't just have one guide, Sandy. You have several guides. We have several guides. How this happened to me, I didn't understand any of this, but I was given messages through my dreams, and they told me that I had one particular guide, but he also had assistants. And one of the lady that was an assistant to him was someone that had gone through a previous life, the very same as what I was going through. I understood nothing of this, but this was a message that my main guide, let's say, was telling me. I then spoke to, and you're very aware who Aldo is, correct? You know who he was because you've known me a long time. I actually told him the story, and I said to him, do they have assistants? And he said, sure, yes. So that validated to me, because he understood. For anybody that's been listening to my show for a little while now, they know who Aldo was, who's my guide here. And he said to me, yes, she had also been through a very similar lifetime. So he had passed on my, so to speak, questions and problems to this lady who could relate. And she started to give me many messages. I didn't have a name. It's not really important to have the name. It's important to understand that there's somebody there.
An inner feeling.
In a gut feeling. Go with it. You know what? Believe it, it helps. But it's a lot to do with our belief system. But I follow, because I mean, I was getting so many messages. I was stubborn. They had to show me in a very profound way that there was somebody there by my artwork. But I listened eventually because I thought, how is this possible? The things that were happening to me, that they were telling me what to do, I was doing. So I got complete validation and still do.
It's amazing. You do great work.
Thank you, Sandy.
Hard to believe you weren't great in art.
Well, I'd never, as you know, and you've known me for many years, actually you met me when I started to paint, actually,
Right.
and you were one of my first friends that had actually looked at my art, and I'll never forget that because you were very taken by what I had been drawing,
you
and
went to
that's very
school
dear
for
to
it.
me, Sandy. So I didn't know and I didn't understand what I was drawing, but Aldo was here to help me, and he showed me that I was drawing from past lifetimes, and he was showing me some of the signs and symbols that I was drawing that I was completely unaware of, but here on the internet were things from that particular century that I'm now putting on paper that I've never seen. So I was stubborn, but they had to show me and really show me that I was able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else here that's ready for Dawn, Freddie? You are my go-to.
I have a question. I know it's Monday and we're back to bringing back in all our friends from the other side. Are weekends different than weekdays? Is what we do different for them?
Are weekends different to weekdays? No, because actually there is no time on the other side. They see that maybe we relax a little bit more at weekends, so they're able to maybe, and this is coming to me, I never thought of this, they're able to come through more prominent to us, not just to me, to us, because we're in a little bit of a more relaxed state. Didn't know that. Probably won't remember what I've just said. But they actually do come more often in the weekends or when we're sleeping, or our weekends could be during the week because some people have Friday and Thursdays off. They're able to come to us when we're more relaxed.
Or maybe we hear them or we see the messages more when we're relaxed.
Yes, yes. And you know what? We actually, and they know this, when we have problems, we talk to ourselves and we say, oh my gosh, what can I do? Actually, when we do that, they do come through to us. So again, as I was just saying to Sandy, who's here in the studio, go with our gut, listen to that. And if we hear that we should be following a certain path, follow it. Follow it. What can happen if it's the wrong path? Then it's the wrong path, but let's go with it.
And when you hear your guides, or when you hear different, I don't know what you want to call them, entities or people, do you hear them, or is it more the voice in your head that you're thinking that's the message?
It's more the voice in our head. It's more that with our first intuition of what we hear. I know I've said this many times, but maybe it's hard to explain it. We have a thought, and then we maybe verbalize that thought. And when we verbalize it, they're more able, although they can hear telepathy through us too, but go with our first intuition. Let's say we're asking a question. It could be anything that we want to know the answer to. And we can say to ourselves, what should I do to go on, and actually, what should I do about this? We're really talking, so we think, to ourselves. But then you do get the answers, but we don't realize that. So it might say, well, do this, or turn right, or turn left. And I often use the example of a car. Let's go with that. They are talking to us, but we don't always listen. We don't listen. And I was that was me for many, many years, until I realized that I am getting good answers here. Wasn't necessarily me.
And we talked about over the weekend uncovering the silver lining in situations, because not every situation is good. Is there always something good in it, though?
Well, you know, people might say, oh my gosh, well, she's going through this positive thinking again. But truthfully, I do believe that. We don't always see it at the time. We're going through a lot of things that, oh my gosh, poor me, why is that happening? But, and this may sound weird, and it probably sounds even weird to me, but sometimes it's a gift we give ourselves, because the more problems we have sometimes, the more we're getting into our inner being that we need to, and I'm not always saying it's necessarily karma, but we need to know what's going on. So even though it's a negative, we can still please try to turn whatever is happening into a positive, because there is a silver lining. And I love that way that you had expressed that, Dawn, because there is, but we don't always see it. but maybe 2 months, 3 months down the road, we'll say, oh my gosh, and I've done that. Now I know why that happened to me. And I'm sure that people listening now, if you think back, you can say, well, I was going through very hard times, but there was a reason. Look at the outcome. Not all the time, but there will be an outcome that will be positive. That's what I feel.
And what do my guides have to say for today?
Your guides are telling you once, and then they're saying, please tell her you are doing everything right, Dawn. You know more, and they want me to tell you this, and this is very important. You actually, whatever you believe and you think is real, you know more than you even realize. You know that. We've become very good friends. I'm not just on your show. We are good friends. You know so much. This is not coincidence, Dawn. It's not. You know so much. You can help so many people. Every time you think, well, where am I going? Where is this going? And you're on the right track. Just know you're helping a lot of people. Can you feel that?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
I appreciate that.
Sally, I got a question for you. This weekend showed me that challenges come in large quantities for one. But the challenge sometimes isn't just for one. Sometimes it's a message for you to spread among others. How does that work with spirit?
Well, I can only tell you from my own experience too. I've had a lot of challenges, and my guide Aldo used to say to me to be his mouthpiece to speak about this. You have a forum here, Freddie, and sometimes your challenges are not just for you, it's for you to share. You have exposure here because you are on the air, just as I am on my show here and I'm on your show. It's not just for you. Your challenges, people can relate to. So if you can express it sometimes on your show, because they know that you have the capability of doing that, you are actually, both you and Dawn are helping a lot of people. I feel that. They want me to tell you that. So a lot that you feel are challenges, it's not just for you. It's for you to express your point of view on your show. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but sometimes they miss the point that they have to learn or they have to be part of.
Well, okay, the people that you're talking to, we're all on different parts of a journey here. So the ones that are really meant to hear what you're saying will hear it. There are other people that maybe not quite at that particular point in their lives, but you know down the road, and I'm hearing this very strongly, what you are saying, they may hear it in a month or two or a year or two. It's not going unnoticed. You may feel that it's not going to a lot of people, but it's a dominoes effect. So what you say and what you say with your positivity is going on to someone else and someone else. It could be 2 years down the road. They will hear it eventually if they're ready. Does that make sense?
It does, but I also was exposed to a lot of people telling me they're in dark places. They're not functioning correctly. They have some real negative thoughts. It seems that with the holidays coming, more and more of these negative thoughts are entering people's minds. So my question is, that too in itself is a message. How do we handle that?
Well, you can only, again, just to go into that a little bit more, answer the questions, or when you speak to people, the best way, it's through example. You may have had an experience that someone's asking and it came very positive to you, although it may be a negative situation. Answer the best that you can, as truthful as you can. We're all at different journeys in our life, so we don't always, even the same question and the same answer may appear to somebody else who's not ready to hear it, and actually they're telling me in a totally different answer than what you're actually giving. But as long as you're true to yourself with the answers that you're giving, it'll go to the right people who are ready to hear that. This is coming through very strong. You have, because of your show, a lot of people that are coming to you with questions and you're able to answer. Answer it the best that you can where you are on your journey, and it will somehow ring true to some people, not everybody else. I am not sure even what I'm saying right now, but it's coming through very strong to me. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense, but I wish that there was a better formula for people that are in such despair. And it looks like the holiday season is what's kicking all of this to the surface.
Okay, there are many people at different stages in their life. The holidays for some, and this is a good example, are unbelievable. They can't wait for the holidays to be. There are people that have lost loved ones that remember holidays from the past that are upset. Oh my gosh, I'm going to sneeze. This is a sign. This is incredible. I sneeze when I'm on this show.
Well, you're
It's
very
my
consistent.
spirit. I think maybe we can go for a commercial just for a minute. Sure. So I get myself together. This
Let's take a
world,
commercial.
this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask. Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Okay, here we are back again. I have to mention this because there's a couple of people in the audience that know, especially Dawn, because you often offer me the Kleenexes. For some reason, when spirit comes through, I sneeze. So I apologize for the little break there, but it just shows me and validates to my audience, which they see that I start to sneeze. I don't sneeze, only on this show. And Dawn, I know you're aware of that, right? Of my sneezing.
Totally where you're sneezing, and it only happens while you're there. But you
I
were
know.
giving some really big messages that you probably don't even remember. Oh, here's a message from Margaine. Can I receive messages from my spirit guide any time of the day or only in my dreams?
No. Okay, I like that message because they are with us all the time and when we need them. So it's not, yes, you'll get messages in your dreams. Is it? I'm not sure who, I didn't see the name.
Margaine.
Thank you for thank you for calling in or writing that. You get your messages all the time. We have to tune in, so to speak. So say, I know you're there, and then listen. And they can come any time of the day. They can come in your dreams. They can come in the morning, noon, or afternoon. It doesn't matter, or evening. They're there with you. Just listen. Hi, Russ.
Hi there, how are you?
I want to welcome you to my show. I
Well,
saw you
thank
walk
you,
in,
thank
and
you,
I'm
thank
telling
you.
you to come here and sit and be my guest. This is Russ Johnson. Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, Neil Keenan, what is he doing these days? Tell people who Neil
Don't
Keenan.
know. I don't know if he's listening to my show. He comes and goes in my life, but he
tell him who he
covers
is.
a lot of different
Can we
topics,
talk about
which
who
I
he is?
no, I don't know because I'm not sure where he is right now. So yes, he's someone that's been in my life on and off for maybe 30 years,
Right.
but I hear from him periodically. But just to clarify that, he is doing good work.
Oh,
He's doing
right,
very
right,
good work.
Right,
so.
yeah. Can
Cousin
you
Linda
describe a
says
little
she's
bit of the work
watching.
he's doing? Just a little bit?
Well, as people know, and since you are on my show, so we're going to discuss aliens a little bit. Is that correct for you? And for
Sally found a
both of
message
us?
on the screen. I love the Jets. How can I learn from failure? Oh, like the Jets. How can I learn from failure?
Okay, and the Jets are?
Jets are a football team.
Oh, okay.
That's a
Yeah,
rumor.
they know I
That's a
know nothing
rumor.
about the Jets. Okay, okay. Just don't get too wrapped up in all this sports. It's easy to say, but you know what? I hear such things that people, oh my God, they're screaming. Okay, it's a game. It's okay. It's all right to. And I mean, we get a lot of people saying to me, "What are you talking about? We love them." Just don't get too wrapped up with anything, not necessarily sports. Let's just keep on an even key. Whatever happens is meant to happen. So, okay, you may not like my answer, but don't get too wrapped up if they're not doing what you want them to do. It's the way it's meant to be.
It's the way they lose, Sally, is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I
They
get that.
lose at the last second or they do something really dumb.
I get that, and I don't mean to offend anybody because my husband Steve is the same way, and I'm going, it's a game, it's okay. But you know what, maybe this is a lesson that I'm meant to learn. Get interested in this. I mean, I was very good at sports at school, and I was very competitive, but it was still just a game, okay? And I you know, I was a runner. I never lost, when I ran, I never lost a race. They actually even wanted to train me for the Olympics. So I get it, but don't let's get too wrapped up in it. That's just saying. Do what you want, it's okay. That's what they're telling me. Stop saying this, do what you want.
Well, when you talk about a little bit about Gaia, you watch
I do.
Cosmic Connections, you know David Wilcox, you know Corey Good and all those guys, but they say basically this whole game we are playing here on planet Earth is a game.
It's a game.
It's a game.
Yes,
It's a pretend.
and actually it is. And I actually wrote in my poetry many years ago, prose, that it's an illusion.
Right.
It's all an illusion. It's all in our minds.
Right.
So I don't expect our viewers to completely understand that, because I don't. But I got so much from Aldo to tell us that basically, and my message would be, what you think will happen, because we're in charge of our game. So if you say, you know, you go into the negativity of this, and it's a good question to ask so that some of these things, the more you go into negativity in your mind, it's setting a path for you to meet and react to negativity. And I've said this before, so let's go into the positive side of this. If it's a game, and I don't expect everyone to understand it, and I don't understand it completely, let's try to be positive in every situation, because then the game will go forth with positivity. That's how best way that I can explain that, Russ.
So even Shakespeare said something like that, remember?
If all the world's a stage, should that be one? We're just merely players? Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And I loved Shakespeare as a
Right.
child.
Right.
I didn't understand why, but I studied Shakespeare, and I see a lot of what he was saying was absolutely my own way of thinking, yes.
Right. So this is all a pretend.
I don't expect people out there to...
But did Aldo tell you that?
Yes, he told
Okay.
me that life was an illusion. But before he even told me that, when he read my prose that I actually have in my very first book, I talk about the illusion. My mind, is what I knew as Sally, knew nothing about this. And yet I'm writing about this is an illusion, which you can hear from sometimes on my commercials. It's like we are the director of our own play.
Okay.
So why not let's make our play happy? If that's the case, let's try to be happy.
True.
Unfortunately, and I don't take away from what's going on in world current affairs right now, it's sad, it's horrific, it's horrible. But let's try still, in the heat of all this tragedy that's happening, to show that there
Compassion.
is something there, okay?
A little compassion, a little understanding.
Compassion, thank you, that's a
Right,
good word
right,
for it, yeah,
right.
compassion.
So Aldo, have you been in touch with Aldo lately?
All the time.
All the time?
Man, he's telling me about you too, Russ.
Sure.
But that's okay, it's all good, okay?
It's
It's
all
all
good.
good, yes. A little humor here.
So let me ask you about some of the people that you've been watching. How about Elizabeth April? Because I want people to Google her name.
I can mention a lot of people on the show. I actually, because I've got a lot of things going on in my life, I have listened to her. She's really good. There are, I mean, you don't, in other words, what I need to say is it's not all just about me and what I'm saying. There are so many people that, well, not so many, but a lot of people that follow my thought process, and you are one of them, and I believe that in the studio there are a few more, because I don't believe anything is coincidence. So just research for people out there that are on the cusp, so to speak. Is this real? Is it not? You don't have to understand or believe in me. There are other people out there. How we met was pretty incredible, right? And we
Absolutely.
suddenly, and to me that's just even more validation, because we are put together with people at a certain time in our own path, because these people can come and go. If we're not ready, we won't see it. But when we're ready, and they're telling me to tell you this, and you and I and anybody here in the audience, when we're ready, they say the teacher appears. The teacher can appear and appear. If we're not ready, they can't do anything. It's the same as what we see in our life. But when we're ready to hear more, we listen. And I wrote prose about that. Listen. The signs are all around us. You will see it, and you will begin, as they call it, to wake up. And we are definitely part of that journey, Russ. I mean, how we met, we may never have met, but I believe this certainly wasn't coincidence. And what you believed, and you got me to open up about my own abductions, which I didn't even know that I had been abducted till I go back and see all my writings. Of course I was abducted, and thank you for opening that up for me.
Sure.
And
Sally,
Russ's show-
Sally,
Yeah.
someone wrote in, if they see an alien, who should they contact?
The alien.
What did she say?
Sorry, that just came to me. I got some of you. They can call me and they can text me. I'd be happy to answer questions.
What did she
I
say?
know now today what's happened to me, so it's a subject very dear to me for people that are like not understanding it. I'm ready to open up completely to this today. So contact me or Russ, your show.
Well, one person that can come. See, every state has what they call MUFON society, a mutual UFO society. Even Florida, every state, every country has one. So you can Google that, find out who's the director of the MUFON society for Florida, if it's in Florida.
So they can go into the internet and figure
Absolutely.
Great.
You can Google that. Yeah.
Perfect,
Right,
perfect.
Right.
Because when all this was happening to me, although Aldo was in my life, he didn't completely explain, because just to go into what Aldo did for me, I had to come out and ask him the questions. He would not give me the answers unless I asked the question. I didn't realize the amount of times, which I wrote in my book, that I was abducted. But now I see it very clearly because Aldo has gone. But I have you two have opened up for me to this particular subject. And I want to thank you, because your show is, what was the
Lights
name?
in the Night.
Lights in the Night, which is about aliens and abductions.
Right.
Is this a coincidence? No.
Not hardly.
No, it's not.
Yeah, not hardly. Yeah.
And Sandy, who's sitting there, who understands this, but I mean, not completely know that she does, but you do, okay? Who's in the audience right now.
I've had 2 experiences.
Yes. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Well, I'm not really
Pull it.
No, but just very quick.
Put the microphone up.
Oh. Well, I could see the UFO every day for like a week, coming down from the sky and then just stopping and just sitting there for a long time. I believe that was a UFO. And I was in a place where it was frequent. Another time I was on 95, and it just came very slow, followed me all the way up to Boca, and then it took off like a blink of the eye, it was
Sure.
gone. But I think you were talking about when I was
Yeah,
sleeping.
where you were, yes.
Yeah, and a sudden jolt, and I could look down and see things, but I don't remember what
But
I
you can
saw.
see how this isn't coincidental, right? You can see that you're meant to be listening to this show because many people, and I'm glad you opened up a little bit, have these experiences. I did, and I did not know what was happening to me until I began. And it was many years later, and I've been abducted many times. I thought I was just what we call astral projecting, which I was, but I was talking to aliens. They wouldn't talk to me in an astral projection. I was in something. So I began to open up and understand that. So I'm here to help people with this.
Well,
best I can.
back to when I was out of the country, and from a distance I could see the ship. And mental telepathy. I wanted desperately to get out of a place. And I was saying, I'll do anything, get me out of here.
Right.
And it was like a conversation back and forth. And it did happen, but not right then and there.
So what you're saying is you truly, and I know your story, Sandy, that you were getting messages from them, right? And they were here. They weren't, you know, a lot of people say, should we be scared of them? No, I believe that this is just my belief, are here to help us. So now when you look back, can you see that they were trying to help you?
Yeah, because I thought, I must be going crazy. That was my first experience.
Right.
But I knew I was talking to that ship.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was, but I was in a desperate situation.
Right.
And it was real. And it wasn't my time.
Right. But as years have gone by now, and the fact that we have met, which isn't coincidental, and I will definitely say that, and just it took me many years to even understand what was happening to me, and they were taking me all over the place. I even wrote a book to say I was visiting planets, but still didn't realize that I was being abducted. So it doesn't happen unless you begin to open up and understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to many different planets. You think that would be like, okay, I'm being abducted. Didn't know it. I thought I was just what they call astral projecting to these places, which was unusual for me anyway. No, I was being abducted. And this is
Thank
no
you.
coincidence that Russ is sitting here,
He
how we
was
met at the
abducted?
cafe. Yeah, well, he
I'm
doesn't
sorry?
come forward too much with it.
Were you abducted?
A time or two or three
Yes,
or more.
the answer is a big yes.
Yes.
That's why he's sitting here. That's why we became friends.
Ah.
Not the only reason, but, you know, I relate to a lot of what he's saying.
And you remember
No,
what
very,
happened?
very little, very sketchy. Very little at all. See, my interest goes back, without going into, this is her show, but it goes back 50 years or more in this whole scenario. I used to do radio programs on alien abductions with George Green and Wendell Phillips and all that, Wendell Stevens, sorry, back in 1990, 91, 92, all on 30 radio stations across the country on the American radio networks. But anyway, I stopped and decided to do something else besides follow aliens for the rest of my life. But yeah, my experiences go way back when I was a little boy. Many times, abductions, many times.
And
But-
many people won't admit it.
Well, I don't remember much. And I guess we need to get a hypnotherapist
Yes,
to help us remember.
absolutely, yeah.
Because if you look at Betty and Bonnie Hill,
Yeah, I know.
okay, 1961.
Very familiar.
Right, okay. On the front page of Life magazine back in that day, that's a big story that hit, that people started resonating with, if you will. It's estimated that 8 million people alone in the United States have been abducted. But many of them, 99% of them, can't remember anything because it's easy to erase your memory.
But they had to go under hypnosis to remember, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
Betty and Bonnie Hill, both of them did. Yes, they did. Yes. Big story. And they made a motion picture out of that story.
Which
called
is something that I definitely...
Incident at Exeter, one of the motion pictures. But if you Google that, you'll see the whole story about Betty and Bonnie Hill in 1961.
Yeah.
Became a big deal. And of course, Roswell, 1947.
This is amazing how it got back to UFOs, which is my touches my heart. We were
Well,
going.
they're
but that's-
here.
Yeah, they're here.
They're here. Many species are here.
So anybody that may be out there that may feel that maybe it was a dream, please call through to the show. Okay. Oh, I think we have a question up there. Okay, what is it, Dawn?
What can we do to help each other out in our modern world?
Listen, have compassion,
It's
right?
all in your book.
It's yes, but to help people out right now with what the world is going through, it's horrific. It's horrible. But let's show compassion. We're all in this together. You agree with me? So it's not just the people that experience it. We all feel something. So let's just, I don't have the answers,
But
but
you
let's
did-
show compassion.
Okay. Can people still get your book, Call Me Zena?
Right now it's on hold.
It's on hold?
It will be out again in a few months.
Yeah,
yes.
because I got a couple of
Yeah.
copies when you told me about
Right.
it. I got them.
So it's a story of hope, Russ. And the question that the lady wanted to know, oh,
You
Matt,
answered it in
yeah,
the book.
Right.
Basically, you said
Yes.
always be positive,
Absolutely.
always be
Thank
caring,
you.
always share,
Right.
always be concerned,
Right.
be. You talked about it just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Be positive. Be positive.
It's
always
easy,
be
you know,
positive.
people going, oh,
Yeah.
it's all very well for her to say that. But I need to tell the audience, I've had a lot of things happen to me in my life.
Right.
And I could easily, and I did at one point, go completely the other way. I got very depressed, wasn't getting anywhere. But
Right.
then suddenly I had this amazing experience. And today, even if life throws you the lemons, okay, which we can turn into lemonade to get back to what the original show is about, let's try and do that. I often say, let's fake it till we make it. But if you put a smile on your face, you'll find you'll attract people more with
Right.
smiles on their faces. To me, this is getting back to what we were talking about with the show. It's so important to do that. Is it easy? No. I absolutely tell you, no, it's not. But believe it, and gradually it gets easier. And this is what's so very important. Nobody, and I truly believe this, goes through this life with no problems. But we're here to learn. So sometimes, and to get back into what I believe, our problems get harder when we're getting close to finishing this journey. We have to get rid of what we call, and I saw your expression, Sandy, they do get harder. But just know that we're going through it for a reason, okay? And if we can keep that positive attitude that this is going to be the outcome, even if we don't believe it, I'm going to say fake it till you make it eventually too. It will end up as positivity. Just say.
Okay.
I was listening to a show by Elizabeth Abel this morning, and she's talking about all the disruption on planet Earth at this time. You know, she did a whole hour.
Right, right.
But basically, she was saying the same thing, that you have to stay positive because we're here to make a substantial difference that would help not only us, but the entire broad spectrum of the universe.
Absolutely.
Right.
I hadn't listened to that show, but
Right.
I am completely a believer of that.
Yeah.
Because what's happening to us here, there are other planets out there that
Absolutely.
are watching us.
Absolutely.
And they may be more advanced, but they're trying to give us the message.
Right.
Because what happens, it's the same as here. It's the law of attraction. It goes to that person and that person. So if you're depressed, it's a dominoes effect. Same thing's happening with the planets. They're watching us. They want us to raise our vibrational energy. It's not easy, but the first step in doing this is to understand that we need to raise our
vibration.
vibration.
Right,
Yes,
right,
yeah.
right.
So that was very valid. I'm glad you brought that out, Russ.
You know, it was real key. And
Yeah,
she had
yeah.
5 serious points, but I would want people to pull that up and kind of listen to
Yeah.
that. Now, she's, what, 28 or so?
Yeah, and it's the younger generation today. I'm
Right.
the older generation right now,
Right.
as you are too, so I can say that with you.
Right.
But it's the younger generation that are coming in to help us.
Mm-hmm.
They may not even realize, but there are people, so to speak, that have signed up for this job. And they may have heard that before. People, I'm going to sneeze again.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not, but they've signed up for this.
Right.
So,
So-
I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to sneeze again. This is incredible.
Let me make a Most people believe when we talk about Gillian Green or George Green, or you talk about Laura Eisenhower or Linda Moulton Howell, all of these people who have been in the research field for 60, 70 years or more, right?
Yes.
They believe that we chose to come and incarnate here at this time.
Absolutely.
For this disclosure.
Yeah, it's so because
Right.
there is no time on the other side, but there is situations and circumstances. So while we're here on Earth at this particular time, it may not seem that way because so much is going on, but it's so important. And the planets that are watching us want us to survive. So there are other ones which we know about. We won't go into that may
Tons
not
of
want
them,
that,
yeah.
but there's only a few of those. There are many more positive planets and people that are watching us
Oh,
today.
absolutely.
Do I have proof of this? No. It's because of what they tell me and I
Well,
see it.
But you talk about you have been incarnated on this planet many, many times.
Yes, I have.
You think 5 times, 10 times,
Many
50,
more than
many
that.
more than that. Okay. So when people ask you, how do you know you have been incarnated in many different bodies, in many different lifetimes, some of which you don't remember, and a few you do remember. Is that right?
Yes, and actually I have a very good answer to
Okay.
that because I was never, and just to say what was happening to me, I've never been able to paint or draw. But in this particular lifetime, I must have chosen something because now I had a dream to go and draw. This was about 22 years ago now. And I started to draw things, signs and symbols, Russ, as you know my story, from other lifetimes. How is that possible if I had never seen these things?
Right.
And then I have someone, my Aldo, which we all have an Aldo, came into my life and is explaining from nowhere, I didn't know this man, of what I had drawn. And I'm looking onto the internet and I see my artwork from centuries ago, the signs and symbols that I'm drawing. Well, I was stubborn, so they had to show me something that really meant something to me. I don't expect everybody to have that type of experience, but I feel, as Aldo had told me over the years that he was with me to train me and help me with this, that I needed to talk about this for the ones that may start their journey, for the ones that are on their journey, or for the ones that are nearing the end of their journey. I have to talk about this. To me, it was very real. How can you draw something that you've never seen that related to the 15th, 14th century? It happened to me.
If I may, why do you think you were incarnated to come back at this time?
Because it's an important,
Why?
we're in a very important time and on this
Why?
planet. Because we're in a, and I mean, I don't want to scare people.
No,
and I
but-
don't
but
want
no,
to
you
make,
gotta tell the truth.
We're at a very indecisive time in on this particular planet. We can go one way, we can go the other. I mean,
I see.
I don't really have to, unfortunately, prove this. Just see what's happening in the news. It's horrible, it's horrific, and I know that. But we still have a chance. We have an opportunity to maybe, I'm going to say maybe because I don't know the outcome. I don't obviously know everything. But let's try and see some, out of all this tragedy, maybe there's positivity. I don't know. I can't tell people be positive about what's happening. But let's try and figure this out together as a whole, if we can.
It's workable.
Hopefully it's workable. I don't have the answers to that. And
Yeah,
maybe
well-
I'm not meant to.
Well, we've had a couple wars that we worked through.
Yeah, but this is getting bad.
Well,
I
so
mean,
was the Civil War.
Yes,
In
and many of them.
1865, there was
Right.
600,000
well,
people
actually,
were killed.
all through history, there really, and I was talking to Steve about this, there's never really been a time when we haven't been at war with somewhere. So we need to lift our vibrational
Right,
energy. And people have heard us talk about the 4th, 5th, 6th dimension. To get in, from what I know, I can't prove this, it's from what I hear, to get into a higher vibrational energy, we need to get rid of all this stuff and start to be more loving. If I have to spread anything right now, love one another. It's so important to love one another, not because of religion, because you're Jewish or you're Catholic. It doesn't matter. We're all in this together. Male, female, whatever it is. We all have problems, But let's all try, whatever this may be, or whoever is listening to this, help one another. We are, as you've often heard people say, we are all one. We're all in this mess together. Let's try and lift the vibrational energy.
Well, that was the cornerstone of your book, the message in your book when I read it. You seemed always focused on be positive all the time, and always be a contributor to the good of life and the good of people. So yeah, you emphasize that. You don't happen to have that book so you can read something?
No, I don't, because the one that I was writing is out of circulation. One or two people can get it. But I am planning on writing another book. Do you
remember some of the poetry you wrote?
Yes, which we do actually in the commercial, some of my poetry that came to me the same way.
I see.
So you can still buy that. You have to be persistent on Amazon. I'm trying to do a more upgraded version of my last book. So, okay, so that's where we are with my book. My art is available too. I don't often talk about what I'm doing right now because I'm in a trance. I may not remember everything, but this is some of my artwork, and thank you for asking, which just came to me basically overnight. I didn't know what I was drawing. Again, I did the signs and symbols from early on in my artwork of things that I had not seen, and then it developed into something a little bit more.
Well, I guess another question I would have of you, since you're from England.
I'm from England.
Have you touched base with any of the people back home?
Yeah, I left about 45 years ago, but I still have friends. Yes.
Oh, they listen to your show?
They do, and yes, they do.
Any comments?
They love it. I have one particular follower from England too, and she watches all the time. I'm getting messages from many people that I actually haven't heard from. Thank you for asking that, because I see on my Facebook, you go into Call Me Zena. I'm also on YouTube. I get many followers and they share it with people. So now seeing many people that I haven't actually heard from in years, they're going, who is this Sally? We don't know this Sally. Because I was, I've changed.
She had a question.
Do you have a question, or Dawn, or is Freddie still sitting here, or whomever? Any questions?
Look, there's a big to-do in the Middle East.
Okay.
Okay. What would you suggest that people do and think about and talk about between now and whenever it's resolved, or however it's resolved?
Freddie, that's such a difficult question.
What can we do as entities?
Just, you know what? Whatever religion or whatever nationality, let's all have compassion for one another.
Okay.
Let's try to have world peace, because we're not getting anywhere. We're killing babies. We're killing premature babies. We're killing human beings. Am I going to be able to help this? No. But just to make people aware, because you were born in a different country, you've got to follow a different rule to kill human beings, no matter what country. It applies to every country. Why are we thinking that way? We need to raise our vibrational energy, because we need to go into what I would call another dimension. We can't get into that dimension unless we get rid of all this. Certain people will be able to. That's as far as what I understand.
Well, maybe it forces people to come together.
It's possible. I can't,
in a cooperative
I often
way.
say out of negativity comes positivity.
In a cooperative way,
So that possibly could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the answers. I just know that we need compassion for one another, for race, for color. What does it matter? I mean, here we're talking to each other. What does it matter?
True.
We don't see these things if we're truly true to ourselves. It's ridiculous.
Well, the young people in the streets across the world today, England, UK, big demonstrations.
Right. Yes, I saw
now
that.
the college campuses. What would you say if you were to talk to them? The same message?
Same message, exactly.
Right.
My granddaughter's in college. I have friends who've got grandchildren in college today. Let's try. We're not going to be able to work it out right now, but let's try to start working it out.
Well,
I mean, who am I? I'm just someone with a little show here that's trying to say have compassion. But my vibrational energy can go out there somewhere and someone say, what are we doing to each other? Why are we doing this? I've heard things on the news the last couple of weeks. I try not to listen. However, part of me says just listen for 5 minutes, because we have to know what's going on. But let's show that compassionate side of us. doesn't matter where we were born, what color, what race. For goodness sake, it doesn't matter. We're here on Earth. Let's get together and all be together.
Have you know, I can't think of the Galactic Command. Have you done any research on that? Have
Well,
you been
yes, because right now it's the Galactic Federation that
Right.
comes through to me.
Okay.
They are one of my guides, I'm going to say, that teach me to talk about this. And I believe they introduced us, as we have the same belief as far as
Sure.
aliens and abductions. It's a Galactic Federation. If you want to talk a little bit more about that, please do
Yeah,
so.
comprised of whom?
It's a lot of different people from a lot of different planets. They're here to basically organize what's going on here and also in the Galactic Federation of other planets. You know, a good program, without mentioning all these names of people
Okay.
that follow us,
Okay.
watch Star Trek. Star Trek, I want people to do this. I listened to Star Trek many years ago and was so attracted to this.
Okay.
And they talk about, I believe, the Galactic Federation. They talk about the holograms. Watch Star Trek.
Okay, okay.
You know, listen to it, believe it not, but it'll open your eyes, right?
Yeah, but I think that they took it from reality,
Yeah,
what's
they-
going on
they did.
above
They
us,
did.
above us.
They did,
On
yeah.
the massive spaceships that are above us.
Yes.
And constantly
But we
watching.
look at it as entertainment. But
Sure.
that entertainment's coming from somewhere. If I sometimes go back into the early editions of this, look at our iPhone today.
True.
If I remember from the early editions of Star Trek, did they not have a device that could scan you to tell you what's going on? We thought that was impossible, and yet today we have. There's many more things that we don't even know that are coming out. Comes from somewhere.
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, remember Laura Eisenhower. Have you heard much about Laura Eisenhower lately?
A little bit, but
little bit,
yeah,
yeah.
yes.
That's a great-great-granddaughter of...
Right, of Eisenhower.
Right, yeah, President Eisenhower. But they said he met with aliens back in 1954 and made an agreement that continued to abduct these people here in America, and in exchange for technology, advanced technology that they give us. Did you ever hear that story?
Yes, and if you think back now, if you look to where we've come now,
Of course.
and you go into which our show is taking on a different subject, but I like this subject, and you know it's very dear to me.
Mm-hmm.
If we had talked about, let's say, the iPhones or our phones
Internet.
today, would we have even understood that 50
No.
years ago? So yes, it's technology coming from somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in my belief system, it's coming from out there,
Of
from
course.
other people that are trying to talk to the people that will listen here. I mean, I know it's a little different from our subject, but you walked in, and I'm happy to always have you as
Oh,
my
no,
guest.
yes. No. I just want to reference a book. If they look or view the book or listen to the book, The Day After Roswell by Colonel Philip Corso, he laid it out that how he had monitored and was holding in abeyance all those secrets from 1947 until now, but he just passed over, so he left the book behind.
I think
Yeah.
it's really important, the fact
Yeah.
that you're bringing this up, because,
Yeah.
you know, they say the signs are all around
Right.
us.
True.
The answers are all around us too, Russ. And I'm a great believer in looking at that. If you see something and you think, well, could that be? Let's dwell into that a little bit more, because the signs are all there. You switch on and you listen to a commercial on television. There is one that says that, actually. And I'm very much a believer, and I feel very dear to the numbers 1111. And they actually show that on the television. I won't go into that because that's another show. But the signs are all around us. It's to wake us up. And if it's just to wake us up to the possibility that we should all work together in this planet, let's try and make, and I know we're getting to the end of my show, but
Okay.
let's try and make this planet livable for all of us. Let's try to get all this positivity out of here. There are people that are hungry. Let's try to feed the hungry. Let's try to get rid of all the abuse here, because, and I don't want to go into too much of how we are controlled, but that could also be another show, but I won't bring it into this. So let's try and escape from this. Let's try to all pull together and show the humane side of us. This is so important for the humane side of us to see that we have enough problems. We have illnesses that we can't always get rid of. Let's try, and I'm doing my best, to let's do more with what our body is telling us. I'm not saying don't go to doctors because they're here to help us, but they don't have, and this is just my point of view, so this is a disclaimer, have all the answers. There is alternative medicine. Let's balance it and put them both together. Not all alternative, not all medical, but let's try and see what we can do. We all start to begin, and this is just the beginning of a journey, to see that there is more. Let's all try to contribute to this way of thinking.
Great. Well, thank you for the show, because
Thank you.
that's a great message to pass on to the world, no matter who you are
Right.
and what you believe. So I
Right.
happen to be.
And I don't believe this is coincidence with you sitting here and asking me these messages, because it's not what I was going to bring out on this show, but I believe it's a really important message, and I want to thank you, Russ, for that.
Oh, sure,
Thank you.
no problem.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
I think we're coming to the end of our show, so tune in, same time next week. Call me Zena, 888-994-4995. Ta-ta, as I would say in English. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been